Hello, 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 everyone. My name is Yolonda Brisbane. I am the Grassroots Manager at Dialysis Patient Citizens, and I want to welcome you all to another roundtable discussion with the DPC. This month is special. It's Women's History Month, but it's also World Kidney Month. So that's why I'm wearing orange today. Today, I have the pleasure and honor of introducing two women to you all who I happen to know. And they are pretty special. It's been a journey of advocacy with them here at DPC. And today we're going to hear three E's. That's three E's. That's lived experience, education, and equity. This is where this conversation will be centered on today. So, with no further ado, I would like to introduce our guest so that we have more time for conversation. And as they speak, they will not only address the issue of advocacy, but they'll speak about education, innovation, as well as the role that women play in leadership in the kidney care community. So at this time, I would like to introduce the board president for Dialysis Patient Citizens, and then she will be followed by the president of our education center here at DPC. Quiana Bishop, DPC Board President, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to give a quick little summary of who I am. I've been a dialysis patient for 10 years exactly January 1st. It's definitely been a back and forth kind of thing with my health. So, um, a lot of things led me to DPC just to start off. I got really depressed. And my mom, because my dad was also a dialysis patient, was like, "You need to look online. There's a lot of groups out there." And when I happened to look, DPC had popped up and they were, advertising the fly in. I took a chance, and because I do a lot of writing, I was like, I could write an essay. Let's see how this works out. And that chance paid off pretty good for me. And I got selected to go to DC, and that would be my start with my DPC journey and learning about advocacy. And then I became so passionate about it throughout the years. Eventually I did. I was encouraged to join the board, and I did. And it's it's been great. I started off just as a regular board member. Then I was voted to be the secretary, and then I was voted to be the vice president, and all this happened in like 6 months. And then probably at the very end of that 6 months, I'm here, the president, and that made me feel really good that they trusted me in that position. Being a leader is it has a lot of challenges, but it has a lot of good things as well.
Kiana, thank you. I can attest, having experienced other ambassadors here at DPC, it's a whirlwind.
Yes.
Once you get involved, passion kicks in, and we provide a lot of spaces for you to advocate and amplify your voice, and it goes from there. So thank you so much for sharing. Merida Bourjolly, the president of DPC's Education Center, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone. My kidney journey started from infancy. So I was born with two kidneys, and I had my left kidney removed when I was 3 weeks old due to an infection. I led a pretty healthy lifestyle all the way through about 2013 as an adult, where I crashed into dialysis. I found out that I was functioning with just 13%, of a kidney, and I was going to need treatment. I was a working mom. I owned my own business. I have my daughter at the time, which was in high school. And it was really a scary moment for me to know that I was going to have to need this treatment that was going to pretty much save my life. Going into dialysis, I felt alone, as many patients do. And so I was seeking for a community where I could educate myself a lot more about the process that I was going through and how I was feeling. So I remember being on my dialysis chair at the time, receiving my treatment, and I was just searching online, searching for information, searching for education, and I came upon DPC, and going through the website and going through the education center. I was able to learn a lot more about advocating for myself. It gave me the power to ask more questions to my doctors at that time. And that's what I really needed as a patient. I decided to join as a patient ambassador, and I was invited to come to DC to speak to our congressmen and legislators. And doing that gave me a community of other like-minded people and other like-minded um, caregivers that were there that pretty much welcomed me in and allowed me to learn from them. From there, I was selected to become the president of the Education Center from Nancy Scott, which was the president at the time. And that really, really empowered me, gave me what I needed and the tools that I needed to go forth and tell my story to other people and to be able to come back and explain, what CKD is. A lot of our patients and other people really don't know about kidney disease, and they find out about it a lot later in life. And so this journey has been truly empowering, truly educational for me. And as a woman, it also just gave me the tools that I need to speak up for myself.
Just so that you guys know, a good moderator stays in the background. So I was muted. So the point that I was making is Maya Angelou, a famous poet who's no longer living, had a poem that she was known for called Phenomenal Woman. So I would like to just say that's who I believe you two are. And DPC is a patient-led organization, and your stories are examples of how patient-led we are because you came up the ranks. You weren't outsiders coming in to lead within the organization. So I would like to now move to you all being women in this kidney care space, being leaders, but you're still patients. And research has shown that women may have a lower risk of dying, right, as a result of kidney disease. But research has also showed that women on dialysis and living with end-stage renal disease have a much higher rate of heart failure, strokes. So can you speak a little bit about experiences that you may have had, whether it be through observation or family or friends? And that rate is in comparison to men who have a much lower rate of heart failure and stroke while living with end-stage renal disease. Merida, I'll go with you first. If you could speak about those stark differences.
Well, those differences in our community are really important. Men are more likely to receive transplants, and a lot of the factors have to do with a lot of times wives donate their kidneys to their husbands. A lot of times there's this inequality where women are pretty much the caregivers of their family, and so we're looked to where we may not have the time to take out of our schedules to go and do the preliminary evaluation to receive a transplant. That's one of the other reasons as to why that men, receive more transplants than women. We're also looked at as being frail, not having enough strength to receive and adhere to a transplant. So those numbers, affect us tremendously in our community. And, raising awareness about that is to help women know that no, we're really strong. We do have to prioritize our own lives, take the time out to go to doctors, just as men, to be able to be candidates as transplant recipients.
I was going to agree with you, Merida. I can tell experience of mine actually. One of the doctors here at one of the Michigan hospitals actually asked me, would I have enough time to do it? Because I am a single mother as well. And I pretty much take care of the household and everybody in it, including pets. So, he was like, I don't know if you have enough time in a day. I was like, well, I'm here. And I know this is a 4 hour, 5 hour workup. I'm here. That's all that matters. And I'm like, speaking of my family that you don't think I have time for because I'm here or whatever it is, I have family member right here with me while I go through this entire workup. So a lot of times they don't feel that you have the support that you need because you are a single parent and you're taking care of your household. But I told him, I was like, I do all things. So, we can argue about this or we could just go through the workup. And he just went along with me because anything he asked me, I can answer to. So, yeah, we are discriminated against when it comes to that because we're single parents, or we have a whole household to take care of and not just ourselves. But if you got family that supports you, you're going to always have time to do anything you need for your kidney disease.
Absolutely.
Wow, that is truly powerful. You both said a lot. And I just need to take a deep breath and, receive everything that you just said because it's powerful. And you are going to not only educate and inform, but inspire not just women, but other people who will see this recording and who's with us today. So I want to stay in the area of women and health and equity. Women have the responsibility of bearing children, and you both mentioned that you're moms, but women also have a lot of decisions to make when it comes to reproductive health, fertility, contraceptive choices, medication choices. What are some of those things that women can do to advocate for themselves when they are going to medical appointments before end-stage renal disease, but then also once they have that diagnosis? Women are sometimes faced with a decision to abort or go forward with the pregnancy. So we don't necessarily want to give advice on that, but when we're speaking reproductive health, contraception, medications, what advice would you give women, or what shared experience do you have around advocating for yourselves in this area?
Mm.
Quiana?
Well, first off, when you advocate for yourself, definitely know what you're talking about before you go into these doctors' offices. Because they feel like most of us don't care enough to research and find out things on our own. So they can tell you whatever they want to tell you. I say always learn whatever it is that you're going to any doctor for. Um, and when it comes to reproductive health, um, now I had my son way before kidney disease decided to come into my life, right? But later in life, when I was maybe 5 years ago, so I was on dialysis, right? I did conceive, and that was tough because you have to increase your sessions. You're doing 5 days a week for at least 3 hours each, and that became so much on my body, and I end up miscarrying. Um, and the doctor was like, it's really hard to conceive a child when you're on dialysis, but it could happen. So I had the option. He was like, well, we can either terminate this, or you're a strong one. I know you very well. I know you're about to try it, aren't you? And I did. I tried it. It was a lot. It was hard. Um, but I didn't end up going through the entire pregnancy. So you have options. And if you have a good nephrologist, especially, they'll talk you through it. They'll give you your options, and you're able to still decide what you want to do. And, you know, some people can handle 5 days a week, for the whole 9 months, if you happen to go through the whole 9 months. And I've only seen one person do it before. And I was just like, wow, to me, you were like a superhero because she made it a whole 9 months. No early induction, anything. But I wasn't fortunate enough to go through it that way. And I don't blame the dialysis because prior to becoming um, a kidney patient, I've always had reproductive issues. So my one is my little miracle. And he's about to be 21. And that to me was just, this is what God put into me to do. It wasn't meant for me to have any more. And I'm okay with that. Um, but just always know your options. I think when you develop a chronic illness like that, you feel like all your options go away. But there's a lot of doctors out here that will fight for you if you can't fight for yourself, because a lot of them want to see things like this happen. Like, hey, women can have babies while they're on a dialysis machine. It's
Thank
okay.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Merida, I'm going to stay in that area where Kiana just spoke from, but I want you to just, whether it's lived experience or just knowledge that you've gained along the way, how can providers, Kiana spoke a little bit about this, but how can providers work better for better results with that woman who doesn't know what to ask or who doesn't know information as some patients do, but someone who just doesn't know where to begin. Maybe they don't have that village or that person to write questions down or to sort of guide that process. They're walking in, they're fully trusting the doctor.
I could definitely speak about that. So I had my daughter when I was 21, I think. And at that time, I was living with my right kidney. I really didn't know a lot about CKD, kidney health. And when I got pregnant, I didn't know how much that was going to affect me as a woman at the time. Once I realized I was fully pregnant and I had to get sonograms, my OBGYN doctor at the time told me that she couldn't be my doctor no more. And I really appreciated that from her because she said she didn't have the expertise to deal with a patient that only had one kidney. And so she pretty much transferred me over to another specialist, and he took really good care of me. He educated me on what the process was going to be, how I was actually now considered a high risk pregnancy. I had to do sonograms 3 times a week at the time. And myself and Yanni's father would go and we would get these sonograms. And the reason for that is because they needed to make sure that my kidney was cleaning the both of us out properly so that Yanni could go full term. And so that was actually pretty scary, but he made me comfortable because he knew that I didn't really know too much about it. And he walked me through that process. And Yanni was born really, really healthy. And I could also share another part of my journey was when I crashed into dialysis, still not really educated about, end-stage renal disease and the right questions to ask. And I was fortunate enough to have a team around me. My partner at the time, he was very well versed in health. And at that moment, I only had Yanni and I wanted to have another baby. And so I remember being on the chair and I just started Googling other women that were pregnant during dialysis, like Quiana. So I was like, I could do this. I could do it. I want to have a baby. Not taking into consideration my own health at the time, which was declining because I'm on dialysis and I'm sitting here for 4 hours on a chair 3 times a week. So I didn't know that, if you were to get pregnant while you're on dialysis, that you would have to go 5 or 6 days a week, to receive treatment to clean yourself out. And even then, I had to have other people to say, let's slow down a bit. I had to humble my own self and say, all right, could you really do this? Do you understand the toll that it's taking on your body? Yes, you're young. Yes, you feel good. You think you feel good, but you are in a life-sustaining treatment. Could you really go full term? And I remember reading that some women did. And then I also read that a lot of women
Mhm.
lost the baby along the way. So then
Mm.
with my healthcare provider at the time, we spoke about it and they took the time, which I appreciate, to slow me down and say, let's focus on getting a transplant. Let's do that first before trying to have a baby. And so that's what I decided to do, with my family and just slow down the whole thought process of being a mom again and now just focus on me as a woman, taking care of myself. And so I did that. And I was fortunate enough to get a transplant. So now let's get into this transplant world as a woman. Once again, I'm like, I want to have a baby. Want to have another child. And so I was determined to have, my second baby now that I have a kidney. And once again, with the care of having good doctors, right? And being equipped with the education center and knowing more about kidney disease and receiving a transplant, once again, I had to be slowed down again. But as a woman, I had to learn how to put myself first and say, am I going to be healthy after having another baby?
You're right.
Yanni was now an adult. She was a young adult. She was in college. Um, what's the possibilities of going back onto dialysis after getting pregnant again? And so my nephrologist here in New York had to speak to my team in Pennsylvania where did receive my transplant and say, okay, she really wants to have this baby. She's on medication. Some of these medications you have to come off of if you become pregnant. So you have to plan your pregnancy. I had to take that into consideration. I also had to take in consideration my age and the fact that if my new transplanted kidney doesn't survive this pregnancy, I'll be going back on dialysis. And so I had to kind of look at the fact that I was taking care of my mother. I was a caregiver at the time. If that happened, who would she have? And so I had to really say, all right, let's put myself first again. I'm healthy now. I'm fortunate enough to receive a deceased donor's kidney. What other kind of life could I have without being a mom of a second child? My daughter's about to graduate college and I want to be healthy. I have a business that I'm running. And so that's what I decided to do. I decided to put myself first again and just take the doctor's advice, and research. And that's what pretty much helped me make my decision now as an
Thank
adult,
you.
adult to not have another child.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. So you both have miracle babies. Well,
Yeah, we do.
now,
Yes.
thank you for sharing so thoroughly that
Mm,
lived experience because it is educating others. So
yeah.
right now, I want to go back to you guys as leaders, not just in your homes and your communities, but within the kidney community here at DPC. Merida, you're also an entrepreneur of at least one thriving business. Quiana,
Mhm.
you're also an educator in the Michigan school system. So you all have a lot that you carry on your shoulders, and it speaks to the resilience, the resolve, and the inner leader that exists in many women. So right now, sort of like a rapid fire, Marita, well, let's go to Quiana. Why is advocating in the kidney space so important to you? If you could give us 15 words maximum.
Um, the big thing for me is that when I advocate, I'm helping other people in our community. Because a lot of people can't speak for themselves. That's the biggest thing for me, being able to help other people.
Thank you. Marita, if it's not exactly 15 words, it's okay. Um, why is advocating in the kidney space so important to you as a woman?
As a woman, it's truly important to me because I'm able to share my story and educate other women and men, about the process that I went through. It empowers me and it allows me to empower other people at the same time. I feel that I speak to those who were shy, like myself, to speak up about what was going on in my life. It empowers patients to know that they can ask the questions that I didn't want to ask at the time or that I didn't know how to ask at the time. And so advocating allows me to give that strength to other people and just to empower them with the tools that they need that I personally know that I didn't have or I didn't go out looking for. This now is my chance to say, here, this is how you advocate for yourself as a patient. Go out, be strong, and speak up for yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is wonderful. Some people are afraid, right? Some people are afraid and they become paralyzed. They do nothing. And
Right.
sometimes by they get to the doctor, the help that they could have received or the education they could have received, they're beyond certain points. And I like the fact that you are both encouraging people through your lived experience to not only advocate for yourself, but it sounds like you also form partnerships with your medical providers. So, Marita, will stay with you. If you can, you're speaking to, well, first, let's get this question. What is your vision for the DPC Education Center? I had a question that I wanted to ask you, but I'll come back to that one. What is your vision for the DPC Education Center?
I love everything that we do here at DPC, and what I would like to do is to continue putting out the educational tools that I think that as a group we know that our patients need, whether it's how to speak to their doctors, knowing the medicine that's out there for them, knowing the proper questions to ask, giving our patients a platform to come and speak, to other patients out there to share their stories. I would love to raise more awareness about holistic practices, whether it's empowering our patients to do more fitness, knowing the health tools that they need for nutrition. This pretty much gives us the opportunity to empower our patients in that way. And so, with my vision is also with innovation, being able to be the place that patients come to find, information firsthand about what's going on, the advancements that are taking place, in the kidney space. And so those are some of the tools that I would like to continue putting out there, and some of the tools that I would like to introduce to
Thank you.
DPC.
Thank you. Quiana, if you can just speak to us a little bit about your vision for DPC as the president of the board.
Um, my overall vision is to get more ambassadors out there and to not have them just do things once a year, but to do it year round, to advocate for different bills and policies that we're trying to get passed that benefit our community specifically, because a lot of it falls in a big health group, but there's a lot of things that we have just for us that I think we need to push even more. And I would like to do things year round rather than just once a year when we go to DC. I think we can do stuff across the states, just on all throughout the year, different events, different things like that. So that's my overall envision of what DPC will continue doing. I just want to make it a little bigger.
Thank you. Thank you. Growth is always beautiful, intentional growth.
Mhm.
So we are coming down to that closing hour. I hate for the conversation to end because it's been magical for me, the inspiration and knowledge. Um, if you all can give me one sentence, your meeting, Merida, with the person who's coming into DPC as the next president of the Education Center, one sentence you would give this person about leadership.
The one sentence I would give them is to share your story, be strong, be honest, be forthcoming, share your experience, because there's so many others that could learn from it. You're pretty much the model for DPC at the moment, and you have the opportunity now to have the floor to say, this is what it takes to be a great patient. This is what it takes to be able to have conversations with your doctor. This is what it takes to know about the laws that are taking place in the health policies, the health insurance policies that are, changing the way you receive your treatment. So have the floor and go out there and share your story.
Thank you. Kiana, one sentence. You're giving advice to the next DPC board president. What would you want them to walk away from you with?
Oh, be open, be honest, be a great listener, because that's an important part. You have to be able to listen before decisions can be made. So that's a good way of being fair. Those would be the biggest things. And definitely pay attention to what's going on in the world, because it changes really fast and it can affect us that quickly. So I think that would be my main advice to the next president.
Wow, thank you.
Mhm.
So I want you both to give me one word, Kiana, one word to describe how you would want to be remembered as a leadership. One powerful word.
Fair.
Marita, one word that you want to be remembered for in leadership.
Enthusiastic.
Thank you. This has been fantastic. I can sit with you ladies forever and have a conversation. And you're both incredible moms. I've experienced both of your young people. I don't like using the word children, and they are examples of your leadership at home and throughout the kidney community and your families because they've been on this journey with you. So it's been my pleasure. Again, my name is Yolonda Brisbane, the Grassroots Manager for Dialysis Patient Citizens. And we do not just talk the talk, we walk the walk. As you could see, our leadership comes from within. Both of these ladies were once DPC members. They became patient ambassadors, and now they're leading with intent, integrity, and passion. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
Thank
day.
you.